This podcast is about entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-care. My name is Lourdes, and I am the host of the show. Thank you for listening today. Hey, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in. Are you a medium interested in trance? Well, today's guest is Niko, a trance and evidential medium, teacher, and author whose spiritual journey has been shaped by surrender, spirit, and remembering the sacred truth of the higher self. Known for his honest voice and heart-centered transmissions, Niko gently guides others to deepen their connection, both within themselves and to the unseen world. Through his teachings, mentorships, and trance sessions, he helps people honor their sensitivity, trust what they can't yet see, and live in alignment with their soul's purpose. His new book reflects that same path, rooted in authenticity, not performance, and devoted to living and sharing truth. Niko, it's so nice to have you on my podcast. How are you?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, same here. I'm honored too to have you on my show. So let's start with your story. What drew you to trance mediumship, and how did your spiritual awakening unfold?
Oh, that's two different questions.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's start with the first one.
Okay, well, trance is, I didn't go looking for trance. Trance found me. So I had already been working as an evidential medium, connecting to spirit, to loved ones, through names, memories, validations. But the first time I surrendered into trance, it wasn't about what I was getting anymore. It was about what I was letting go of. See, I wasn't in control. I wasn't performing, if you will. I was just allowing. And for me, that changed everything. I realized spirit wasn't just here to speak to us, but they were here to speak through us. And that required a different kind of listening, one that doesn't use ears, but the soul. And that's what made trance so appealing, so intimate, profound. And that's kind of where I found myself, which is, we'll talk about that more in a moment. But my awakening, that kind of happened over three different levels. First, when I was a child, when I was about 5, 6, 7, around that age, I remember this vision, if you remember The Wizard of Oz, this is how I could describe it. When Glenda, the good witch, a little tiny ball of light appeared and it kept getting larger and larger, and then Glenda came out of this big bubble, this ball. That's what happened through my window, where three celestial beings came out of this massive ball of light. They didn't speak, but I could feel what they were saying, with the message they were giving me. And at first I was just welcoming it. And then as a child, I freaked out. I called my mom. She comes running into the room, but they're still there. And I'm just like, you can't see them? And she just throws my imagination. And then they kind of just slowly left the same way they came in. But the amazing thing is that after they left, I was able to still feel their essence, their presence near me.
Wow.
And that maintained my entire life. Even there were times when I tried to outrun it, thinking I would get away from it. But how do you outrun that? Ridiculous. When I was young. But it was always there. It kind of became like a guiding light. I would feel it. If I was feeling alone, I would sense it. If I was nervous, I was afraid, it would become even more magnified. So I sensed it. I just didn't know what it was. I wasn't certain. I was always questioning it. And then that later on in my life revealed itself. When I was in my early 20s, I moved to California from New York, and I visited a friend in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Very spiritual place. And a lady that worked where he was working was very, very spiritual. We just locked eyes and connected. It was definitely a soul connection. She introduced me to all of this. Back then, Reiki was referred to as hands-on healing. She was doing light channeling, evidential. I could actually see who she was bringing in. It was amazing. And even the gentleman who owned the place that my friend worked at, he invited me to an actual trance mediumship, a reading. That blew my mind. His whole body was contorted. His spirit spoke. I could feel a presence to my left. And when he came out of that, he said there was a big presence to my left, that he felt that it was just a lot of affirmations going on. But again, I stayed 3 years in California. I went back to New York, and New York is a very loud place
Yeah.
where it's quite difficult. And at that time in my life, I was very much about focusing on success. I had a company, I had a couple of companies. I was all about money, the biggest house on the block, the nice cars, the vacations. It was all about that. That spirit kind of drifted. Yeah, even like I still sense them. What I had opened up to in Santa Fe kind of like took a hold. I put it on the shelf for years.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
I went through a divorce, and I returned to my ancestry land, an island in Greece, and that's when things started happening again. I wrote about that in my new book, where I it sounds crazy, but I actually had a visitation from my cousin who passed away when we were 19.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was actually there like a ghost, if you want to say that. But I understood what ghost is. It's a projection of a soul imprint, which is really not what we think it is. But I could hear him speaking, and even if there was no words coming out of his mouth, it's as if my subconscious overlapped the words as what I was seeing, and it was amazing. And then as time went by, I came 2 years in a row to Greece that I actually heard my name called in the distance, and then I heard this name Noah, and that's
Okay.
that's that's amazing. And then,
Let me
uh,
stop you there, though. So let's explain to the audience the difference between, because some of them may not know, the differences between an evidential medium and trance mediumship, like how trance invites us into sacred partnerships or not performance, as you say, right?
right,
Okay.
exactly.
So can you
Uh,
explain to the audience the difference?
Yeah, evidential mediumship is beautiful and it has a purpose. Okay, it's offering proof that spirit continues. I was an evidential medium before I was a trance medium, so I still have it holds a special place in my heart. But trance isn't about proving anything. See, trance is not about a performance; it's a partnership. It's a surrender. You don't decide what comes through. You become
Mm.
available to what wants to come through.
Okay,
So,
so when you said in your book, well, awakening through trance, that's kind of what happened to you, right? So what
right.
does that look like for someone who never had experienced it? Is it different for
Okay.
everybody?
So what people don't understand, what we forget, and our breath is evident. It's right here in front of us every single moment of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Figure this out. When you're born, that body comes out of the womb with no breath. There's only liquid in the lungs, but there's no breath.
Mm.
Then the breath appears.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, where's this breath come from? The body doesn't, orchestrate it. It appears. That's your essence. That's your soul. That's your spirit, your energy. So even as we're guided, why do we have intuition? Why do we have that inner knowing, the sixth sense? Why do you just know right from wrong? Why is love so effortless? Because that breath is a connection to your higher self, your highest essence in the spirit realm. So we're always connected. We're always connected. The way I explained it in my first book that I wrote, there's like a funnel of consciousness. So if you will, imagine a funnel with the widest expansion of this funnel being your higher self, the portal to the spirit realm. And the narrowest part of this funnel is you in this physical body. So your higher self is the guardian of the spirit realm. So there's no bad spirits as people think there is. So it's all good spirits. And the ones that do come through is your spirit team. So these are all beautiful soul essences that you've known, had lives with, whatever. It's as if I say to you, okay, Lourdes, I'm going to put you in a room and you can invite all your favorite family members that you love, all your favorite friends, all your loves, all in one room. So no, you don't love anyone more than the other. They're just an incredible love. And you're the focal point of all of them sharing the love to you. That's the spirit team.
Mm.
You don't remember them in this human form, but they remember you and they love you like that. So that's who comes through in this funnel. So you're the guardian of the physical realm. You're not going to allow someone to come in and attack you and get into your body, which is impossible. So nor is your higher self from the spirit realm. So then this funnel is pure love. And the ones who do enter is your spirit team. So they are frequency, an energy, a vibration, a resonance. It's not like a physical body entering you. It's not a possession like people think. And it's also, we have to stop and ask ourselves, why does everybody fear trance? Because they were told to. The illusionary truth effect. If 1,000 people say the same thing, you believe it if you've never experienced it. So many people have never experienced trance, and yet they're afraid of it because they were told to fear it. Who started this rumor? Religious doctrines, religious institutions, governmental agencies, because they realized centuries ago that trance was the only pure form of communication. Because what this is you're allowing your awareness to shift into this funnel, if you will, and this energetic frequency blends with yours, blends with your breath. That's your energy. The breath is what we use to form words and speak. That's how they speak through you.
So
It's
let
a
me ask you.
vibration. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, do you kind of fully, like, quote unquote, leave your body or leave your mind when you go into trance, or are you still partly aware?
Okay, so the mind, two sides. The left side is the conscious mind, the right side is the intuitive mind. The conscious mind on the left side is only 15%. The intuitive is 85%. And yet we all reside in the conscious mind. That's where the ego lives, the brain function, the pride, everything is in that conscious mind. Only 15%. The intuitive mind is where you shift your awareness to. That's where you feel love, compassion, empathy. That's how spirit connects to you. This is where your soul, your essence resides. Also, I ask you a question. How come nobody fears going to sleep at night?
That is true. I look
Right?
forward to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, and what happens in sleep is that your conscious mind, it doesn't shut down, but it silences, it rests.
Yeah.
And you go into the intuitive mind, your subconscious, and you
Mhm.
sleep. That's the same thing as trance. Identical. So
Okay.
people don't fear going to sleep, but they fear trance because they were told to. You see the difference? Trance is sacred. It's not about being impressive. It's about being empty enough for the truth to flow. And that's a whole different level of trust because you have to remember who you are. And that you learn that through trance.
So, do you go into it by yourself, or if you're nervous to start, can you start by yourself, or do you need somebody to be there to help you?
Yeah, see, this is I also teach courses, beginners trance, intermediate trance, and I've had some students come in and tell me that others have told them, "Be careful, you need somebody." And
Yeah.
I'm always asking them, "Why do you listen to these people? This is just people in the physical world with their own interpretation. How do you feel yourself? How do you feel your breath? How do you feel your higher self? How do you feel your intuition? How do you feel your inner knowing? You don't. So why would you fear any of that? It's just a perception of what trance is. And it's been taught a certain way that people truly fear it. This is why I wrote this book. First of all, I was kind of guided by my spirit team to write a trilogy all about the higher self. The first book is about the higher self. This was about trance and the higher self. And the third one I'll be starting next month is about evidential mediumship through the higher self.
Wow.
The
Wow.
higher self is who we are. You don't really hear many teachers in all these courses speaking about the higher self because they were taught from their teachers, their mentors, that you can somehow access the spirit realm externally. And yet, if your higher self is the portal to the spirit realm, how could you possibly access the spirit realm without passing first through your higher self? It's impossible. Even evidential mediums are not always accurate. They might feel, they might sense, but they're not accessing the wisdom through the higher self. They're not feeling that vibrational frequency and surrendering to it. That's what trance teaches you. If I was to go back in time, I would definitely learn trance before I learned evidential. Because I
Really?
believe, yeah, I
Huh.
believe this is the foundation. It's all about trust and feeling the frequency. Because even in evidential, it's about the frequency of that spirit connector. It's not about your mind perceiving who they are, what their name and what role they had. It's feeling. Once you can connect to that resonance, that frequency, it's like you become them. You're
Mm.
breathing their breath, and then everything is accurate. And then also that's what allows trance evidential, where they speak through you as well, and it's beautiful.
So, when you give a reading as an evidential medium, and then you're in trance, do you, I don't know, do you act like the spirit, or, you know what I mean? Like, do
You
you
know
take
what?
on the personality or what?
What happens is also understanding from the physical aspect. Right now, we are speaking in the beta state. Our
Hmm.
brain hertz are 13.5 and above. When evidential mediums relax, people breathing, hypnosis, meditation, they lower the hertz of the brain to 13 down to 9.
Hmm.
This is the alpha state. This is where a lot of evidential mediums stay when they bring in spirit. We go into the theta state when it's trance. This is even deeper. This is from 8.5 to 3.5. 3.5 to 5.5 is the heart of it. 3.5 to 5.5 in the theta state is exactly that state when you go to sleep right before you doze off and you really feel bliss. Or that state right when you wake up, you don't want to get out of bed. Same exact state. Again, sleep is trance. That's the same state you want to maintain. And that's just about not allowing your mind and your ego to pop in. So when you are in that deep trance state, yes, my if it's someone's mother, she's coming through, her essence is coming through to mimic the female, the motherly. My voice will change. It'll be a little bit more softer, a little bit more feminine. Where I'm still trying to sustain is the somnambulistic state, which is even deeper, deeper, deeper trance. And I do pop into it. If I'm going to do an hour reading, maybe 20 minutes of that, I'm actually in it, but I keep flying back out of it, going back into the deep trance state. This is only 11% of trance mediums in the world can sustain this deep, deep trance state. And
Wow.
I've been trying to work in it for 3 months. I keep
Wow.
talking to my higher self, asking to get to that deep trance state. Not for me, because I want to offer my spirit team a pure vessel. That's when they can come in and speak a language I don't even know. That's when their intellect far surpasses mine, and they could be rocket scientists and speak mathematical code that I wouldn't know. Also, when I'm in that deep trance state, I'm also able to like shift my awareness into existing parallel lives. Because
Wow.
remember, if your breath is the consciousness of your higher self, why would your higher self only stop on one physical life? It
Yeah.
has other ones, and we perceive our timeline as a truth, where it's continuing, and the 1700s is a past time. How do we know the 1700s is still occurring in a different timeline, in a different reality on the same Earth?
Yeah.
And that's where is spirit intelligence.
Mm.
So I might still be living a life in the 1700s. I might be a woman in India,
Mm-hmm.
and I might be at the airport going somewhere, and that person's going in traveling somewhere, and we walk past each other, and our eyes lock, and this is a spirit recognition. You see, and that happens a lot. How many times have you walked down the street and saw somebody you're passing, and you locked eyes, and you just know that you know them, but you don't stop. You just pass each other and turn around and look at each other, just for that brief moment in time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your higher self's way of saying spirit recognition. It's more than one of you.
I believe that. I truly believe that. We're like multidimensional,
Of course.
right? So let me ask you this now. The chamber of trance.
Yeah.
So what happens in the chamber of trance? How does spirit communicate through frequency and not words? And how does the medium soul translate that into a language?
Good question.
That sounds so deep to me, Nico.
It,
Oof.
it is deep when your intellect tries to understand it. But even as I speak it now, whoever's listening, their soul is going to hear it. And that's the beauty about all of this spirit communication is that we try to analyze it all the time. But the answers already are within us because we're all soul, we're all spirit essence. So spirit doesn't speak in sentences, right? They communicate in frequency and vibration and essence. So during trance, I enter what I describe as a chamber, an in-between space where I'm conscious but not active. So a word might pass through me like energy, and what comes back isn't a sentence. It's a response that vibrates through the soul. So my mind doesn't create the message, it simply lends the vocabulary. The words you hear are the closest translation that my being can offer of the frequency spirit sends. Right? That's why no two trance mediums sound the same. We're all translating based on what our soul already carries. So I say this a lot. I teach this a lot, or I try to explain it to the students, is that when you're in this in-between state, this chamber, and this is what happened to me during a live transmission, as I'm in this deep state in this chamber, I heard a word. The word was purgatory. And I heard it. I heard it just come into this chamber, and it was like ricocheting off these walls of the chamber, and it kept traveling down into what I sensed like a tunnel. And a moment later, I felt this energy come through, and I heard chattering, like inaudible chattering. I thought there was speaking, but that inaudible chattering, that's the sound of that resonance of energy. But my mind tried to understand what it was, and the closest thing in my mind was inaudible words chattering. So see how the mind is always perceiving what it understands from this physical realm, but that's not what it is. It's frequency, like sound waves, frequency. So when that frequency comes through, that's your spirit team's energy coming through, and you're in that chamber, you can even feel like maybe a slight touching of your hair, or you feel your crown chakra opening, or you feel something going on the band around your head, whatever it is. What they're doing is they're scanning your vocabulary. They're scanning what's stored in your memory, in your database, in your subconscious. They're finding the words that most translate what their meaning is going to be. And then you all of a sudden you have this thought in your head. And then I tell my students, the beginner students, I tell them it's okay to focus on the thought, because this is how you build trust in spirit. But for the intermediate and advanced mediums, I tell them don't focus on the thought. Stay on the frequency. Stay on the connection. And then they bring that thought after they formulated the words, and it comes through your voice and is audible. That's how they speak, how they connect through you. But that chamber is amazing. Because
Wow.
you feel like you're flying, or you're light, you feel love, you feel energy. It's just amazing. It's beautiful.
Wow. So then are you like surrendering patience and trust is more important than, let's say, being accurate. So how do you put that trust in what you're listening to? And then what has spirit shown about time and time again with you?
Yeah. So it's okay. So there's a moment in trance where you have to ask yourself, am I willing to speak what I don't understand? This is the ego. Okay.
That's scary, isn't it?
As a human, yeah. Because as a
Okay.
human, we're conditioned from childhood. Be careful of what you speak. Be very cautious. Don't say the wrong words. You have to sound intelligent. You can't hurt people. You have to respond. Don't overspeak. You're constantly taught the same things. We're conditioned to believe that acceptance is more important. So our appearance matters. How we're accepted, how we're perceived by others matters. We strive for perfection. We strive for, in sports, you always want to win. We strive for the best careers, the most money. This is all the conditioning of the mind. It doesn't mean anything as a spirit. So when you're asking yourself, am I willing to speak what I don't understand? You're also asking yourself, am I willing to let go of needing to be right? Right? Because with spirit isn't always here to confirm what we know. They're here to reveal what we're ready to hear.
Hmm.
Many people that come into these demonstrations, they don't even know what to expect, and they're always responding the same at the end. Like, my questions were answered before I even spoke, and wow, I needed that. I didn't even realize it. It touched something deep inside that I was holding for so long. Some of the most powerful transmissions I've received didn't make any sense to me in the moment at all, but they moved something in the person listening. So
Hmm.
trance teaches us that accuracy isn't just about data. It's about resonance. That truth that bypasses logic and lands in the soul. That's why we are of service to spirit. That's why this is a sacred collaboration. That's why people are always seeking to connect with spirit, because in their mind, they're going to receive answers that they're seeking. They're going to accept the grieving they're living through, because they want proof that that person still lives on. Everyone's turning back to the spirit realm, even though it was condemned for so long, centuries. There's a global awakening happening, and many people are turning back to the spirit realm, and that's why it's such a beautiful. It's an honor to be a vessel for spirit.
Hmm.
Nothing to fear. Nothing to fear ever.
Awesome. So that's good to know because it's a scary thing. I'm scared of that, but I want to
Okay,
learn,
let me ask you a question. What you're scared of that because you've seen horror movies,
Probably.
right? You've seen
Yeah.
people get possessed.
Yep.
People have been telling you it's dangerous. You might not come back. You might come back crazy.
You lose control.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
control. You open your eyes and you're
Oh,
back.
that's
So,
it.
but yeah, you're always in control. That's the whole thing. You never leave your body.
Oh.
Your essence doesn't leave your body. See, now this is how I'm going to start my third book. Is that we have to understand what is this auric field, right? You've
Yeah.
heard about the auric field. What is the
Yes.
auric field? When that breath enters your body after it's born, your spirit attaches through that breath. So within the breath is the anchor. That's how you speak.
Hmm.
Every thought you receive is from your higher self. Every word you speak is given from your higher self. But you have free will in this world. How many times did you know the right thing to say to somebody who hurt you, but you changed it and you retaliated, you cursed
Yep.
them out, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's your free will. But you knew instantly after you said it, it didn't settle within you. You knew it was bad.
True.
That's the higher self. So
Mm.
what happens is that breath is your lifeline from the higher self, but your spirit is also your auric field, like your antenna. So that's why nobody can come up behind you and scare you, because when their auric field brushes against yours, you're alerted, you turn around right away. And this is also how spirit connects, the auric field. There's nothing to fear because you're protected. That's your protective shield. But it's still you. It's your essence. It's your breath. It's your higher self. There's nothing to ever fear in trance. And
Mm.
that's really what I hope this book teaches people, awakens people, not to fear anything. You can't
Just
fear
you
yourself.
explaining it, it's like, okay, I'm not afraid anymore. It's very convincing.
Good. I'm happy. I'm happy. Well, that's what this is. It's funny because even teaching courses, I was just content with being a trance medium and evidential medium. It was great, but my team kept nudging. I kept taking it in dreams. I saw visions. It was just like, you're going to teach. I'm like, I don't
Wow.
want to teach. I don't want to teach. I think I fascinated for 3 or 4 months, and even with this book last spring, they were saying you're going to write a trilogy. I'm like, I'm not writing anything. So even throughout the summer, I kept getting the feeling, this urge, and even in the winter, I started like thinking about it. But it's amazing how when you're really in tune with the frequency of your higher self as well as your spirit team, you could feel it. Like there's certain sensations, certain something that happens that you'll either get chills or you'll feel heat or cold or pressure. And even as you're mentally communicating with them, they respond with the sensation. That's the way of affirming what you're thinking or you're speaking. That's how they're responding. They're answering you. So it's really amazing. So while I was writing it and I was thinking about it, that's what was happening. They were guiding me through feeling. And then
Hmm.
a few times, even the sentence itself would kind of slowly shift from left and right. How many
Wow.
times did I take my glasses off, clean them, wash my face, thought I was just tired, and it happened over and over and over. Then I understood that's how they're working with me. So they were kind of guiding me on what to write, what to say. These thoughts were forming in my head. I was writing it. A lot of it was my own experiences, what I learned through college, through life. So I had to go back to Google and make sure that I wrote it the right way, not
Yeah.
paraphrasing it, certain things like that. It's a beautiful collaboration. But this book is my heart. This book, I'm not too much of a macho man to say it. This book, I actually cried a lot while I was writing it. I cried even reading it because it was so emotional. But the emotional part about it, I question: is it my soul essence missing that unconditional love of the spirit realm that makes it so emotional? Is it my human mind? We all have shame, guilt, how we perceive ourselves. Is it my human mind and my ego releasing that I am soft as an essence, as why I'm also emotional? So this is still where we're developing understanding. Is it all of it, or is it one or two specific things? I don't care. It's not about the answers. It's about the experience, because then I could write about it.
Yeah.
And that's why
Very.
people that read this book, they actually have already messaged me saying that they could feel the presence of spirit and they're moved to tears. I think that's incredible. That's the power of spirit.
No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, so tell me, what was the most surprising or profound message you ever received during a trance session?
Okay, so trance, when I'm in the trance state and I'm in a deep trance state, I'm not really aware of what they're speaking to the sitter or to the group.
Okay.
In other words, I always use this as an example. Let's just say you're in the living room and a movie just started. In the kitchen right next door is your husband and your daughter, for
Hmm.
instance, and they're having a conversation. You hear the conversation because it's right next door. You hear every word they're saying, and the movie's just starting. So your focus is very much on the conversation in the kitchen and less on the movie. But then it's a suspense thriller, and in the first 5 minutes, something happens and it takes all your attention. Now you're zoomed in and focused on the movie. The more this movie keeps your attention and you're intrigued by it, the less you could hear the words spoken in the kitchen.
That's
That's
true.
that's trance. So
Oh,
when a lot of mediums are in a light trance state, they're very much aware of the words. So they're kind of like listening to the kitchen conversation and the movie. So I focus on the movie. I get really deep into the movie and I'm in that chamber I was mentioning before. So I don't really hear. I might pick up a few words here or there, maybe a sentence, but I really can't put it into a paragraph that I understand what the transmission was about. When it's meant for me to understand it, it echoes back to that chamber and I hear it.
Hmm.
So, in other words, this book, like I said, the word purgatory, somebody said something about purgatory and they answered that person, but that purgatory word shifted back in and came back out again. I still don't know what that is. But I've received messages like, this is not about you. This is a sacred collaboration. You wouldn't walk into a sacred cathedral, a church, or a temple, be demanding and stomping your feet and making noise. You walk in with reverence. Offer that in this conversation, in this communion. Now, I don't know if that was words spoken in the conversation, but that's what I received.
Mm-hmm.
I've also received certain things they said through the transmission, and it came back to me with a knowing. Put this in the book. And then I would have to go, I would go back and I would put these transmissions in the book because they told me to. And I went back and I listened to it and I transcribed it and I put it verbatim in the book. So profound messages for myself. There's not really one that stands out because there were a few over the course I'm doing trance. A lot of it was about forgiveness. A lot of it was about it's healing within the words, but most of it is about releasing the ego. And this is what I said earlier about the somnambulistic state. This is a very profound message I received as I was trying for the last 3 months, and which is really ironic because it had nothing to do with the transmission at all. Nothing. Like they spoke through me to the group, and like another guide was speaking directly to me in this chamber. And what they were saying was that I keep asking to sustain this somnambulistic state, but I have to enter it with zero ego. So even though I'm from New York and my life wasn't as spiritual as it is now, and I was probably 80% ego and 20% into spirit, over time I've evolved where I'm 80% present and a servant to spirit, and 20% I'm still trying to understand that human part of me, that part where somebody might accuse me or blame me or yell at me, and it's a response.
Yeah.
It's a trigger effect when my ego rises and I battle back. That's 20%. But that is what I cannot take into trance to enter that deep state. It's got to be gone.
Oh, that's good to know. So there's no anger, or there's anger management's better off in trance.
Yeah,
I'm the
right.
same way. It's like somebody cuts you off and you get emotionally charged right away. And it's just part of us, right? Part of growing up maybe in a city or something, because I grew up in a city and my mouth can go right away if you upset me.
Yeah.
And then I
But
feel bad. And then like you say, you feel bad later because it wasn't our higher self.
right, that's exactly right. And within that, when I even asked them, how do I get rid of the 20%? And they said, be patient and always remember that person who's attacking you also is a spirit essence in their body on their journey. See, we never know what their journey is about because we don't even know
Right.
really what our higher self wishes to learn through our own experience. So how can we
Mm-hmm.
possibly assume we know what they're going through? So the
Right.
more we start seeing them as an essence in their physical body, we don't react as quickly. It's like a little pause button was hit, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And then we begin to start viewing them through the lens of our higher self rather than the lens of our physical form. And that's what's making the difference.
So, are there any exercises or practices you recommend to help people gently open up to trance or spiritual insights?
It's all within the silence. You
So you
can't have
asked meditation or something like this?
meditation is more passive.
Oh,
So what I recommend, and I say this a lot to the students too, is first of all, distractions are major. Silence that phone. Put the dog in the other room. If you have family members that are going to be walking through the living room, these are all distractions. Be
okay.
alone, quiet, dim the lights, and then just focus on your breath. Still your mind, slowly allow your heart rate to slow, and the breath is the key. That's your portal in. Focus on your breath because as your breath softens and it's like you're not even breathing, that calmness to the breath, that's what mirrors the flow of your essence. So once you can really focus on that, it's as if your breath, your higher self is kind of guiding you with your own breath into this chamber, into the funnel of consciousness. And then you start feeling the sensations. You start feeling, because again, we said the auric field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your brain understands your energy. So when another essence blends with yours, it throws the brain off. It's like, wait a minute, that's not her energy, that's somebody else's. And then alert your body, danger, danger. So your body is the one that offers you the sensation of chills or the hairs on the neck or heat or cold or pressure. It's the body reacting to what the brain doesn't understand. And then once there is no danger, it sustains. It's fine. That's how you start feeling you're receiving these sensations. Look at the intellect of spirit. They understand how they're bringing in the frequency to you and your awareness and connected to your breath and your essence, but they also understand how your body works. So they're doing it intentionally so your brain can alert the organs, the skin to receive a sensation so you're aware that's how they're communicating with you. And
Okay,
it's
so
it's
go ahead.
all in the breath. It's all in the silence.
So I've sat quietly in silence with no disturbances. Sometimes I fall asleep.
Because
How do,
okay, breathe again, same thing with the breath. That's why you start with the deep breathing. Remember, you as the one in the physical form, our only job is to sustain that trance state. So you went past the 3.5,
oh,
the brain hurts. You went to the 3 in the delta, you fell asleep. So how do you prevent that from happening? When you feel yourself becoming too relaxed, take a nice big deep breath with a long exhale, and that keeps your brain waves above the 3.5,
okay. And
and
then
you
how
don't
long
fall
do you
into sleep.
sustain this meditation? Or I'm not meditation, but silencing and all
You
that.
see, when you set the intention, you ask your higher self beforehand. I like to understand the vibration, the frequency. You ask your higher self to bring in the spirit team. There's a lot happening. If you just stay in that silence and shift your awareness to the energy, if you're always focusing on the frequency, on the energy, on the resonance, things will happen. You'll receive messages. This is where you receive your own clarity. This is where your remembrance of a soul occurs. Your higher self, a lot of mediums think that we have to connect to the spirit team. That's the goal. The spirit team, I love them. I honor all of them. They're the assistants to your higher self.
Mm,
Your spirit team is able to work on the external, the auric field. They're the ones that bring in the repeated numbers on the phone 1111 333. They're the ones that can help bring a butterfly to your window. This is all external. Your higher self is your breath, so it's a lot more internal. So
mm.
your spirit team is guiding your awareness to your higher self. Connected to your higher self, that should be the ultimate goal.
So I've heard that when I don't know, I was in a trance class of some sort or a circle. I've heard that you record yourself when you're in a trance. What do you think of that?
Yeah, 100%, because that's how they speak.
Okay.
Because if you're not recording, and you're practicing, you're going to be too much in your thought. You're going to be thinking, is it me? Am I saying these words? Am I projecting these words? So you record it to catch the words coming out without focusing on the words. You still stay focused on the flow of energy, on that frequency, on the connection. If you could keep focusing on that and silencing your mind, they're going to speak effortlessly and they're going to provide you amazing messages.
Okay.
That's what it's about.
Huh. Okay. I'll
Receiving
start recording.
messages.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Jeez. I was like, oh, do I do this? Anyways, I'm going to try it. And then I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite part of doing spiritual work?
I can't put it into words. It's so healing. It's you know what, you're always surrounded by this unconditional love. You're always brought to tears. Your heart has expanded more than any loving relationship you've ever experienced. You're always accepted. You realize that you don't need to seek acceptance. It's not important. It's just a part of a physical journey. You're reminded on who you are as an essence. You connect to these incredible spirit team members that you've had profound experiences with, also through love, through honor, through respect. It's just so much. It's such a beautiful experience that it makes living this physical life tolerable.
That's a
You
beautiful answer.
you remember you're not human.
Mhm.
That's what people always forget. They really believe that they're human because they get so preoccupied in this physical existence that they believe that status and accolades and fame and fortune defines them. But love defines us. And that's the beauty. That's what you feel. That's what you're constantly experiencing. And it's incredible. So then the more you feel that, the more you don't take it out on people. There is no anger. Why do we have to have anger? Anger and fear and confusion and worries, that's all part of this world. It stays in this world. There was one beautiful transmission that they said to somebody, why the question was something about why am I always struggling? My whole life is a struggle. And they're like, because that's what your higher self wishes to seek to learn from, because it's not the pain you endured, it's not the actual experience that caused that pain, heartbreak, grief, betrayal, whatever it is. It's the fact that you're living through the pain in human form. So there's wisdom that's born out of you living in this pain, and that wisdom of that pain is stored in your subconscious, in that intuitive mind's area, in the subconscious. So when your life is over, whatever is stored in the subconscious, that's what goes back to your higher self, the wisdom of the pain, not the events. That's why even in evidential mediumship, somebody once asked me to ask the spirit direct questions. Where'd you hide the money? Where is Bob living? It's like, it's impossible to get that kind of answer, because that spirit, that essence, does not take with them the memories that we have right now. It's the same thing. You're in a beautiful sleep. You wake up, you don't remember the plot of the dream, but you remember the emotion you felt. Same thing. Same thing.
Makes
And,
sense.
and it's always love, because that pain you feel also has an underlining of love, because that's what the higher self wishes to learn, and it absorbs it with love. So you don't take pain with you. That's why I don't believe when people say that you have to go through judgment, or karma or past. It doesn't make any sense, because then it goes against what the higher self wishes to learn. And this is the misteachings of this world. That's why people are afraid of trance, or afraid of the spirit realm.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. So, Nico, so besides writing a book, besides teaching, what do you do to de-stress or relax when you're not doing those things?
You know, it's funny, because through trance, and through that connection and through my remembrance, I am living my life more as my essence rather than my as a human. I am walking around slowly, enjoying nature. I'm never in a rush. I don't let people affect me, because it's all about their drama. I live on a Greek island where there is no traffic except for like the high season with the tourism. I go to the beach a lot. I go to nature. I go to the woods. I walk around. I'm always connected with spirit. I feel my team with me always. The more I'm connected to spirit, the more I am spirit. And I'm reminded of it. And in that, there is no stress. There is no worries. There is no fears. And that's where I wish, through these books or through teachings or through transmissions, that the world is going to start paying attention, because they're unnecessarily struggling and suffering because they think it's part of the journey. And that's one of the lies being taught.
So, where can listeners find your book, connect with you, or learn more about your upcoming work and teachings?
The marketing is very simple. It's all about Niko Medium. Facebook is Niko, first name, Medium, Niko, not Naco. Niko Medium. First name, last name, Niko Medium. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and even my website, it's all Niko The Medium.
Okay.
So it's very, very simple. And the book is on Amazon. Paperback, hard copy, and ebook. Two of the books. The first one is Threads of Infinity, Remembering the Higher Self. And the second one is Trance Mediumship and the Higher Self, The Ultimate Truth. So two of the three are already published.
Awesome. We look forward to that. So, before we leave, I ask every single one of my guests a surprise question. It's either going to be weird or funny, okay? So, here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, if you and your higher self had a podcast, who would talk more?
You know, that's
you,
so funny.
your guides, or would it be a full-on debate show?
You know, that's very, very funny you saying this, because just the other day, that's the next step. I've actually been guided to have my own podcast.
Awesome.
And just the other day, I started researching how to organize a podcast, and the title came to me, Noah Speaks.
Wow. That's an awesome one.
And what it is, it's an hour podcast. And every podcast, the last 15 minutes, I go into trance, and Noah, my team, speaks to the audience.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
So
45 minutes, I'm either speaking or I'm interviewing people, and 15 minutes, the last 15 minutes, I go into trance, and Noah finishes the podcast.
that's awesome, man.
Isn't that amazing? Now
Yeah.
I just have to figure out how the heck to do a podcast because technology is not my thing. I'm still learning as I go along, but I'm sure I'll get it. They'll show me how to do it.
Yeah, they'll show you how to do it. If not, ask me. I do it. I've been doing this for 3 years now.
I'll definitely rely on you. Thank you very much. So that's next. Noah speaks.
Noah speaks. I like that. I look forward to that. Oh, I can't wait till
Thank
that
you.
starts, man.
Yeah, me too. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast today.
Thank
And
you.
then let's
Do
see.
you see how
So
you see how nothing is random? You asked the question that I forgot to talk about.
what's that?
You asked about the podcast. I forgot to mention it.
Oh,
Nothing is
see?
random.
That is so weird. I just,
Right?
yeah. This morning I was like, oh, I got to think of a question for him. I forgot this part of my podcast. So
Yeah.
that came. Isn't
And
that
what
weird?
happened? What happened was that my higher self connects to your higher self, and my higher self knew I would forget and relayed the message to your higher self. You came down and received the message hours ago. Isn't that how it works? Amazing.
Amazing. Like, woo, 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 woo.
I know.
Like the Twilight Zone, dude.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a wonderful talk and interview with you. I've learned so much more, and I'm not going to be as afraid now that I know I just opened my eyes and I have total control.
You do. You do. You always do. You
Yeah.
do. You still feel the energy of spirit. I wrote about that in my book, also my first trance experience. And you do open your eyes and you come back, in case you think you're out of your body, but you still feel that energetic connection,
Wow.
the vibration, but you're always in control. It's not
Do you,
possible not to be in control.
so, quick question before we go. Do you always have to keep your eyes closed to be in trance, or do people trance with their eyes open? I don't know.
Actually, people do trance with their eyes open, and I actually have a student in my intermediate class that does trance with his eyes open.
Wow.
But he's also telling me, he's explaining to me that sometimes his mind notices what they're focusing on, and he comes out of it. Other times it's like a film they put over it, and he's not in it. Also, with
Wow.
the auric field and the energy, what they're doing with this vibration, this frequency, is they're padding, they're building layers of energy. So every time I'm in trance, my eyes are closed, but they appear to be open and blinking spirit eyes, but they're different shape than my eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible what they do, and then they that's how with the energy, how they build it up. They change the structure of my face, the bone structure, the contours. It's fascinating what they do.
Oh, man.
Fascinating.
Wow. That is. Whew. All right. Well, again, thank you so much. And this has been so fun. And I look forward to speaking with you soon.
It has been fun, and it's been an honor. Thank you very, very much for having me, Lourdes. I
Hmm.
appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And I appreciate you. Thank you. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast and please share this episode with your friends. Please subscribe, rate, and review this episode. Thanks for listening.